Across the ancient world, empires rose in glory and fell in silence. But one empire did not fall quietly. It fought until its last breath, unleashing a war so devastating, so legendary, that history itself tried to erase it. This is the untold story of the fallen empire's final war, the last stand of a dying civilization. Long ago, the Aurelian Empire ruled from ocean to desert, from mountains to valleys. Known for their golden armor, brilliant generals, and unstoppable armies, the Aurelians believed their power would last forever. But empires don't collapse in a day. They crumble slowly. Corruption seeped into the government like a poison. Hunger stalked the streets as harvests failed. Rebellions sparked in the provinces, challenging the empire's authority. And all around their borders, enemies were circling like wolves, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The empire was bleeding, and every rival nation eagerly awaited its death. But the final blow didn't come from a foreign army. It came from the shadows. A secret group, known only as the Dusk Order, infiltrated every level of the empire. They moved like ghosts, their actions subtle but deadly. They sabotaged food supplies, causing famine in loyal cities. They assassinated governors, creating chaos and fear. They turned trusted generals against each other with lies and mistrust, shattering the unity of the Aurelian military. Their message, whispered in dark corners and written in blood, was simple. Aurelian rule must die. The empire was collapsing from the inside out, but it still had one final hope. Emperor Kailandravos, the last ruler of Aurelia, was young, but he was brilliant and fearless. He saw the decay and refused to let his home die in the dark. He united the remaining loyal generals and delivered a declaration that would echo through history. If this is our final war, we fight it with honor. He summoned all remaining soldiers, from weathered veterans to farmers and workers who had never held a sword, one who was still loyal to the empire. This act of desperation became the greatest mobilization in Aurelian history, a final gathering of the faithful to defend a dying dream. The fallen empire now faced enemies on three fronts. To the north, savage warbands swarmed across the borders, seizing border cities and leaving destruction in their wake. To the east, the eastern kingdoms, rivals for centuries, united for the first time with a single goal: to crush Aurelia once and for all. And from within, the most dangerous enemy of all, the Dusk Order, continued to tear the empire apart. Turning brother against brother, Kellen stood in the center of this storm of chaos. Any other leader would have fled, but he refused to give up. On the Fogford Plains, known as the Shattered Fields, the first great battle began. 40,000 Aurelian soldiers, a mix of hardened legionaries and citizen volunteers, faced a combined invading force of nearly 90,000. The horns of war roared, and the ground itself seemed to shake with the thunder of marching feet. The sky went black as volleys of arrows rained down. In a display of unmatched courage, Emperor Kellen led the charge himself. His golden armor shone like a beacon through the fog and smoke, becoming a symbol of unwavering courage. Against all odds, the empire won its first major victory in years. But this victory came at a staggering price. Half of the Aurelian army lay dead on the field. As Kellen and his weary soldiers celebrated their hard-won victory, the Dusk Order struck its most devastating blow. They poisoned the water supplies of the remaining loyal cities, killing thousands. They opened city gates in the middle of the night, allowing enemy armies to march in unopposed. In a final act of betrayal, they even sabotaged their own defenses, leaving armies vulnerable. City by city, the empire collapsed, and as the news reached him, Kellen finally realized the terrible truth. Aurelian's strength wasn't defeated by enemies outside its walls, but by the traitors within. Knowing the end was near, he planned one last, desperate stand. The few remaining Aurelian forces retreated to the Citadel of Ardenfall, the oldest and most formidable fortress in the empire. Surrounded by a staggering 120,000 enemy soldiers, Kellen received a demand for surrender. He refused. The final battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. It was a vision of pure chaos. Towers collapsed under the bombardment of siege engines. Ancient walls burned, casting a hellish glow over the battlefield. Swords clashed in the narrow streets as every citizen fought for their home. It was a battle of thousands, fighting for a dying empire. Kellen fought on the front line, a whirlwind of gold and steel, refusing to retreat even a single step. On the third night, as the last defenses crumbled, he made his final speech to his handful of remaining warriors. If Aurelia must fall, let it fall in fire, not in fear. He then charged one last time into the heart of the enemy forces. The legend says he took down 100 warriors before he finally fell. The Aurelian Empire was no more. A civilization that had ruled for 600 years vanished in a single, cataclysmic war. But its legacy lived on. It lived in the songs of bards, in the stories told by grandparents, in the magnificent ruins that dotted the landscape, and in the whispered legends of the emperor who chose death over surrender. Empires rise, empires fall, but few fall with glory. Few fall with fire. Few fall like Aurelia. This was the fallen empire's final war. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales from history and legend.